recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Mind Body Blend. And in the month of April, our focus is on finding strength. So becoming stronger through not only our muscles and our joints, but through our bones as well. Upper body, lower body, abdominals. I also have an option this month where we'll be using a stability ball. I know that some of you have them and they just sit around. You're like, I don't know what to do with this thing. So if you've got one and you want to use it for some of the movements, go have that at the ready. I also know some of you don't have one, and I want you to feel comfortable with doing the movements without one as well. So a substitute for your stability ball will be a small chair or even a wall that you can hold on to for some of the movements too. I have light hand weights, a yoga block, and a strap. We're going to be combining some Tai Chi inspired movements to warm up with no equipment. Then we've got some ballet bar exercises, and we'll be using the stability ball for those today to show you a little bit of a difference. If you don't have the ball, your chair, you can use that for balance. And also if you have some space against the wall, I'll be showing you some examples using the wall. So a little bit of everything today to focus on alignment, nice posture, lengthening the muscles, and mind-body classes are exactly that, about connecting the mind to the body and also the breath. So let's get started on your mat. Let's come into Waibuchi. And Waibuchi is also known as wide second position. So we have the legs nice and wide, the toes are turned out, but not too far, because when you bend your knees, I want you to be able to align those knees directly over the toes. So we'll just soften those knees, lengthen the spine, and with the breath, bend the knees, scoop up some energy and oxygen, rotate your palms to the ceiling, and then exhale to open out. Sink down and breathe in and breathe out. So these movements in Tai Chi are always done very slowly, very mindful, with our focus on balance and control. Tai Chi is an old form of a martial arts, so sometimes there'll be movements that look like fighting style movements, but these are very softened, so we're not feeling combative, but we're just feeling that sense of bracing in our core and strength in our muscles. Let's do one more. Scoop it up and exhale down. Now inhale the arms halfway out. Side stretch over to the right, but you're going to push your right hand across to the left and your left hand to the right. So it's almost like you're blocking an opponent from one direction and the other. Come back up, bend those knees, reach up. Now the palms push away and come back to center. So the arms have some engagement of the muscles, so they're not just floating as we reach over, we're pushing and we're creating a little bit of tension. But this is good tension, good stress. And out. And as always with LisaBug classes, you're going at your own pace. You're eliminating any exercises that don't work for you today. You're really focusing on your own body and what you need in this all levels practice. Let's take one more to each side. And then last time to the left. And come back to center. Release the arms down. Step the feet in a little bit closer, more of a parallel alignment with your knees. Right hand is on top, left hand is underneath, and we'll do a cloud hands movement. So we're going to start to bring these hands over to the right with a twist, and then switch so your left hand is on top of your right, and twist that direction. You kind of are imagining you have a little ball between the hands, and you're looking the direction that you're turning. There's really no movement through the lower body. One more each side, rotating the spine, warming up the vertebrae. And then as we move to the right, step out and step back in. Step out left and step back in. Now we're starting to warm up those legs a little bit more. Bending the knees into a deep lunge. You're really focusing on your balance as you step out from one foot to the other. Checking in with your knees and your hips. Let's take one more to each side. And then come back to center. Take the arms down. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Exhale, bend your knees into a squat and push forward. Come down, sweep up, and press forward. Feel some energy through your arms. A little bit of a bend in the elbows when you push. Now as you sweep up, add a little baby back bend. Extend and then block and two more. One more time. And come back to center. So we'll step out this right foot to the heel plants. Circle the left arm around and push forward as you bend that right knee. And circle it around, pick up your heel, or pick up your toes so you're on your heel, and press forward. So we're shifting our body weight from one foot to the other. And then we'll start to add the other arm in. My palm is up on my right hand. And I circle both arms, so I'm pushing with the left, palm turns up on the right. You know, we're putting a lot of movements together, so really focusing on the mind and the movement. Now, with Tai Chi being a lot about balance, I have one more level for you. As you circle the arms, step the toe in, lead with your heel, and press out. Shift your body weight, lead with the heel, and press. Now the breath. Inhale, exhale. Two more. Warding off any stress, any anxiety you have in your life. And hold. Let's come back to center, stepping that right foot in. And we'll turn to the left side, bending the knee, circling the right arm. So as we press, we're looking that direction. And then pull back, lift your toes up, circle, and press. So just start with the one arm to get the movement going. And then whenever you're ready to add the left arm, palm rotates up, circle, and press. Weight rocks back into the right foot, and it moves into the left. We breathe, adding our element of balance As we rock back into that right foot, pick the left off the floor, lead with the heel, and press away. Inhale, exhale. Good. You might notice that your balance is somewhat easier on the left than on the right, but just be patient with yourself, trying to find that equilibrium from one side to the other. Let's do 2 more. One more, and hold. And we'll come back to center. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And just notice how your body's feeling head to toe after that gentle warm-up of movement. So locate your hand weights. We're going to start to move into the legs and arms, building strength. Taking the feet back out into Waibuchi, or a wide second position squat. Weights are right in front of you, and we'll pull the elbows up and notice where the weights come. This is right underneath your chest. We're not lifting up too high. The shoulder blades are down. And as you straighten your arms, bend your knees and drop down into that squat any distance that you want to go. So these can be baby ones, just a small bend of the knees. So explore the range of motion that feels okay for your body today. And then I want you to press your knees outward. So you're squeezing the outside of the glutes. Really be careful not to let your knees roll forward. Now feel all 4 corners of the feet really engaged into your mat. Pressing into the ball mound of the big toe, ball mound of the baby toe, and the outside and inside of the heel. Feel some lifting of your arches. 2 more repetitions. And 1 more. And let the arms float down. So the legs will continue the same as we bend the knees and squat down. The arms are low. Next exercise, right arm comes forward and up just at shoulder level. Bend those knees, and left arm. Now take these at whatever pace works good for you. Slower movements are beneficial for a couple of reasons. It increases the time our muscle is under tension. It decreases the chance that we'll start to move into momentum or any swinging action with those weights. Now, if you have shoulder injuries or issues and lifting the arm forward is not comfortable for you, you go back into that upright row movement, coming here. It's an excellent option to still be working the shoulders. And up. 1 more each side. And up. And then come all the way back up. Take a breather for the legs. Good. Now, anytime you need to leave out those squats, if you're getting fatigued, just do the arm movements. Next exercise. Bend those knees as the weights come down. Both arms open, no higher than your shoulders, and close. And open, and close. Now just evaluate this movement for yourself, and if this bothers your shoulder, you've got the front raises to go back to, and you've got the upright rows to go back to. There's always a wonderful choice. You can also add in a bicep curl if you'd like to bring it right in here for any shoulder issues. Now let's add the breath. So inhale as you come down. Exhale to press out and up. And think about your arms going away from the sides of the body, outward toward the walls of the room, instead of up towards the ceiling. So imagine there's a resistance pushing against your arms, preventing them from opening. And create that little bit more workload, pressing out. 2 more repetitions. Excellent. 1 more time. And last squat, and return back to center. Roll the shoulders back. Excellent. Okay, last one here with our squats. We'll bring the weights to the chest, right about the sternum. We'll sink down into those legs, into that deep squat, and then press the arms up. Well, sometimes overhead presses are not good if you've had a shoulder surgery or injuries in your shoulders. So you've got a bunch of exercises to go back to, and pick the one that feels good for you. Now, we've been doing quite a few squats, so we're really reaching a nice level of fatigue in those thighs. Try not to lose your good form. Now, adding one piece, press up, bend your elbows back behind you, straighten for a tricep extension, and then return. Press up. Also, with shoulder injuries, you can sometimes do this movement with no weights. So you can just set them down and do a range of motion exercise of moving the arms through that range without any extra workload. Nice job, everybody. 2 more reps. Body's getting nice and warm. 1 more time. Bend and straighten. And finish with your squat. And back to finish. All right, nicely done. Set those weights down. We'll be focusing on some bar work, B-A-R-R-E. So in a bar class, you have a ballet bar that you can hold on for balance. So if you have a chair, you're gonna hold on to that for balance. If you have your stability ball and the wall, I want you to set your stability ball on the wall and place your hand up against it. Now we have to use our shoulder to connect with the stability ball. So we're going to push into that ball just a little bit and bring your feet to first position. Toes turned out, heels connected. This arm can float up as well, rotating the palm up. And we releve. Releve. Up. So if you don't have the ball, you can hold the wall or a chair. Abs are really zipped up. And ideally, your heels never separate. So you want that V of your feet close enough together that your heels don't come out each time. So squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing the glutes. Really good posture. Good. Now I'm feeling this shoulder working, very active. 8 more lifts. 1, 2. Now this is also more of a balance challenge, having the wall and the ball. So it's a little bit harder than just holding onto the wall or to a chair. 2 more. Up and relax. Now just turn to the other side. So now you're going to use that other hand to press into the ball. Turn your toes out to that first position. If the other arm is tired, you can set it down by your side or relax it at your hip. Lengthen your spine, lift and lower. So sometimes when we do releves or calf raises, we roll out to the outside edge of our foot. And that's why that ankle rolls and your heels come away from each other. So try to keep pressing down into the ball mound of the big toe, so you're coming straight up in a nice straight line, not rotating out. Now feel a nice gentle gripping in your inner thighs and in your glutes. Breathe. Zip up the midsection, the core is engaged. 8. I'm pressing into the ball. 7. Using that shoulder and tricep. 5. 4. 3. Way up on the toes. 2. And 1. Good. Now turn to face the ball or face the chair. I have the ball right in front of my chest or hands on the chair or on the wall. Take your right foot back behind you, bend your elbows and push into the ball so you have that connection against the wall. Back leg lifts, up, down, up, down. Good, so without the ball, you're just holding on to the top of your chair or the seat of the chair, or pressing your hands into the wall in front of you. Now if you have that ball, push into it so you feel those triceps working, abs working. 6, 5, squeeze the glute as you lift, and 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg all the way down. Walk in a bit just to relax the arms, shoulders. Take a breath. Then walk yourself back away. Elbows are bent about 90 degrees or so. Left leg lifts up behind you. Now push into the wall. Leg lifts and lowers. Lifts and lowers. So the ball is an unstable surface. So anytime you use the stability ball for any exercises, you're having to engage your core a little bit more to stabilize. Because that ball wants to roll in many directions. So if you're pushing harder with one hand than the other, you're going to come out of that perfect center line. So really zip up those abs. 8. And 7, keep pushing into the ball, triceps working. 6, 5, squeeze that glute as you lift the leg. Last 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg, walk back in, relaxing your arms. So if you have the ball, we're going to be doing squats with the back against the ball. If you don't have the ball, you can do sit-down squats into your chair or just regular squats in place. So if I have the ball, I'm going to bring it right to the tailbone, walk my feet out, make sure you're not on a slippery surface. Keep your back straight and roll the ball down the wall until you bend your elbows any amount that you want to. Ooh, my legs are shaking. And then roll yourself back up. Now if your feet are too far underneath you when you squat, your knees are going to come forward. So walk those feet out, roll down and up. And you can do anything you want with your arms. So if you're doing the chair, you can stand in front of your chair and you can sit all the way down into your chair until your butt hits the chair and then stand back up. Or just hover away from the chair an inch or two and engage those muscles. So the benefit of doing this against the wall with your ball is you're able to keep your back straight. You don't have to lean forward like you would for a normal squat. You can roll straight down and come up. So sometimes for those of us who have knee problems, this feels better because it takes the compression out of the joints, out of the back of the kneecap. And you feel the work into your glutes a little more. Weight is really into your heels. Good, let's just do 3 more wherever you're at with that squat. Slow pace. 2 more. Nice job, nice job. And 1 more. And come on up. Great job. Step away from the wall and place your ball down. Great job. Come back to your mat, back to that Waibuchi. Bring the arms up. Bend the right elbow, give it a pull, and give yourself a tricep stretch with a side bend. So we're going to have the option of using our stability ball for some yoga style movements that we've done many, many times. Come back up, and then let's bend that left elbow, give it a pull to stretch the tricep and side bend. So if you don't have the ball, you can do these exercises right down on the floor as you normally would, or you can use your chair for a little bit of extra assistance with these movements and extra stretch. So if you have the ball, bring it down onto the mat right in front of you, or your chair is going to come in front of you so you can place your hands on your chair. So our first movement is we're going to roll the ball away and come into a child's pose and let your head really stretch down towards the floor, so we're getting a nice lat stretch. You can do this with your hands on your chair as well. So the shoulders are lifted higher, the hands are lifted higher than you would in a normal child's pose. So then begin to contract your core, tuck your tailbone under, and round up as you bring the ball back in towards you. Inhale to roll it away, stretch. Exhale to pull it up. Now this is also a variation of cat and cow. So if you want to just place your hands on the floor and do a cow pose here, lifting your tailbone, spinal extension, and then curve up into cat. It's a great option. 2 more, stretch it out. And roll it up. 1 more. Coming back to center. Now doing this on one hand, so the right hand comes to your ball or to the chair in front of you. Left arm lifts up. As you roll the ball away, come down with your body and reach behind you with the left arm. So my palm is rotated up. You can have your hand on the chair to do this. And then inhale, come back up, reach the left arm, roll the ball away, stretch. And inhale, and exhale. Now if you have the ball, keep going. What might this look like if you don't have the ball? So your hands can go on the floor as your arm reaches back behind you, and then come up here. Or you can reach it out further and do a child's pose, and come up. So great option even if you don't have the ball. Or you can place your hand out on your chair as you sink back. Just 1 more on this side. And come back to center and release that arm down. Other side, so this time your left hand is on the ball, right arm reaches. Roll the ball away, stretch, the arm comes behind you and your palm rotates up to the ceiling. And inhale, come up. Exhale, back. So I do have a little bit of a back bend as I come forward into that child's pose. So I'm lifting my sitting bones up behind me, and really getting a good dynamic stretch in my left lat and in the chest. And keep going if you have the ball. If you're with me on the mat, reach out and come up. Or this hand goes out to the chair and comes up. Exhale as you stretch. Inhale as you rise. Now try not to push too vigorously. I don't want you to strain any muscles here. This should feel like a really good stretch. 2 more repetitions. And one more. Come back up to finish. And arms are by your side. Thread the needle with the option of using the ball. So right hand goes on the ball. It's close to your body. Left arm reaches up, we're in a twist. As you roll the ball away from you, look under and thread the needle. Now you know we've done this many times in yoga without the ball, so you know what your option is with your hand down on the floor. You can do this thread the needle in an all fours position. If you don't have the ball and you'd like to try the chair, hand goes to the chair, lift up, and then just slide your hand along the seat of the chair as you reach out further. Slide your hand in toward you, stretch up, slide it out. So the chair and the ball just give you an option to stretch that lengthened arm a little bit deeper. 2 more repetitions, then we'll hold the last one, wherever you are with your equipment that you have. Last one here. And hold. Good, now just make sure your pelvis is level. I'm feeling this big stretch in the lat, in the chest muscles that are typically tight. One more breath. And then finish by opening back out, reaching up. And then we'll switch sides. Hand on the ball, on the floor, or on the chair. Inhale. Exhale, reach under. Now sometimes we've got tighter muscles on one side of the body than the other, so just go slow on this first one. Take a couple to see where you can go today in this exercise. You also might need a little padding for your knees here because we've been on the knees for a while now. So take care of your body in that form as well. Really lengthen the breath and the movement together. You're looking up, 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 and you're looking over the shoulder or underneath the arm. 2 more reps. It's a great exercise for the core as we move through rotation of the spine. Let's hold this last repetition and stretch here. Equal weight into both knees, pelvis is level. 1 more breath. And then finish by opening back out one final time. Stretch up. And then hands come down. Spinal balance is our last exercise here from the knees. So if you don't have your ball, you can place your hands right down on the floor, or you can have your hands up onto the chair. And we're going to take opposite arm and leg up. Oops, I didn't have my chair engaged into my mat. You want to make sure your chair is not going to slide out from underneath you. So we're just going to alternate opposite arm and leg. If you have your stability ball, this can be much more challenging as we roll the ball underneath the belly. Lift up so you have your fingertips on the ground and your toes are touching. One leg and the opposite arm lifts. And we switch. Now for some reason for me when I do this on the ball, one side feels really rock solid. And then I go to the other, and I said, wow, what is the deal? I want to roll off. So this can definitely show you some muscle weaknesses on one side than the other, or some balance differences. It's a little bit more accessible to have your feet wider, and your hands a little wider, because the closer they are towards each other, the smaller that base of support is. Let's do 1 more on each side. And then if you're on the ball, roll yourself back to your knees and come back up. We're going to do just a really small yoga sequence with the option of using your ball or your chair or nothing at all. So bring your ball with you if you have it and come to the top of your mat. So we'll take the ball up or just lift your arms up into a baby back bend and then lower the ball down to the floor until you have it connect with the mat. Step your right foot back into warrior one. Lift the ball up. Bring it forward until it touches the floor, or put your hands on the chair or on the floor, step back into forward bend, and come up. So we'll alternate sides. Left foot steps back, warrior one, and we're up. So the ball doesn't seem like it would make it much more challenging, but it does have some weight to it. So we feel our shoulders working a little bit more and our core working more as we bring that ball up. You can also press your palms together on the ball so you can create some tension through your chest muscles, through your shoulders. Feel that connection in your core. So without the ball, you can bring your hands right down to the chair. Step back and lift. Step forward and up. Or you can come all the way down to the ground. Step back and lift. Just keep going at your own pace. So we'll add a side bend to our warrior one. So if you have the ball, bring it down. Step back one foot, lift up, and then you're going to bend away from the back leg side. Stretch. And then bring that ball back down to the floor or hands to the chair. Step in, come up. Switch legs, step back, arms rise, side bend towards that front leg side. This is going to open up your hip flexor. And that little bit of extra weight with the ball is going to assist that stretch really nicely. But it's also going to interfere with your balance a little bit. So as you tip, brace your abs. You're going to feel like you're going to fall over. And then step in. Keep going at whatever pace you'd like. We just have a few more. Whatever variation you have at home. So let's do one more on each side, stepping the right foot back and the left foot back. So we're balanced. If the arms get tired with the ball, you don't need to use it. It's just a nice accessory. I've got one more with my left foot coming back. And come to center. And relax. So our ball can be used actually really nicely for a pyramid pose as well. Roll your shoulders out a couple times. Or your chair or your yoga block. So we're going to stretch our hamstring. I can bring my hands to my ball, to the top of my chair, and step the right foot back. Both legs are straight into pyramid. So what's nice about the ball, let me come back this way a little further, is once you're in place, you can start to roll the ball away from you. Your hands are on the ball or the chair so that you have some stabilization. But you can actually drop your chest lower than your hands to get a really nice stretch here for the upper back and chest. So with your yoga block, you've got that as well. Your hand can come down to your block. If you're really super stretchy, both hands can go all the way down to the mat. We'll just hold here a few breaths and breathe. Primary goal of pyramid pose is to stretch that front leg hamstring from the sits bone, that ischial tuberosity, all the way down the back of the leg until that muscle and tendon crosses the back of the knee underneath your calf muscle. So really think about lifting your tailbone up and lengthening your leg as much as you can. Your back leg is straight as well, but you can put a little bit of a bend in it too. And let's take 2 more breaths here in our pyramid. And then if you have the ball out in front of you, as you start to come up, walk it back in towards you. Step the back foot forward. And then as we come up into upward salute, you can pick the ball up with you and stretch up. And then lower it back down. Hands can come to the ball or to the chair. We'll step the left foot back this time. Both legs are straight, parallel feet. Hands on the ball or chair, and then roll it forward, dropping your chest down. So a wall is also a really nice tool to do this stretch. So while you're holding, I'm just going to come over to the wall and demo. So if you're pretty tight in your hamstrings, one foot is in front, just bring your hands to the wall, keep your back straight, and then start to walk your hands down until you say, okay, this is a good stretch for me. If you want that stretch in your lats, your arms can be up, but your chest goes down so that you really open up your armpits. Let's hold here for just a few more breaths. Wherever you are in this pose, really stretch. Lift your sitting bone back behind you. Lengthen the back of that right leg. Keep the breath moving. Keep the core engaged. 2 more breaths. Last breath in. And then if you have the ball, as you come up and exhale, you'll roll it in toward you. Step the back foot forward and extend up. Beautiful. So using either your ball or your chair for bridging or nothing at all, you can keep your feet flat on the mat. So if you have a chair that you're going to use for bridging, make sure that it's on your mat. It's not going to slide away from you. Your feet will go on your chair, or your feet will go on your ball, or the feet will go flat on the floor. So let's come on down to the mat. So the ball is really nice because it's going to be wiggle, wiggle, wiggle all the way around, and you're really going to have to stabilize your core while you do your bridges. To use your core more, don't use your arms down into the mat pushing. Turn your palms up, roll your shoulders open. Heels are on the ball with your knees about 90 degrees, or heels are on your chair. Start to engage the glutes and hamstrings as you lift up and lower down. So even another challenge if you're using your ball is to put your hands on your hips so you're not using your arms on the floor at all. Ooh, this is really challenging. So if you have that stabilization, you don't need to use your arms at all. Put your hands on your hips. Come up and lower down. So when we have our feet on the mat, it's a great bridge, don't get me wrong, but when we have our feet up on the ball or the chair, you have so much more hamstring work when you come up into that hip extension. And you're digging your heels down into that ball or into the chair or into the floor. We're going slow. Exhale, come up. Inhale, lower. 3 more breaths. If your hamstrings start to cramp, Don't work through it. Just stop and stretch, because sometimes that will happen in the back of the legs. 2 more repetitions. And 1 more. Press up. And down. Great job. Take a brief stretch on each side. So just pull one leg up and lengthen. And then into the other side quickly. Not a deep stretch, just an elongation of that muscle back to our neutral position. And then come back to center. So your choice is going to be do the same thing if you have a chair or the mat, just bridging. If you have the ball, we will roll the legs out and in with our bridge. So lift up, roll the ball away from you to straighten your legs, and then roll the ball in, digging your heels. Now another option, if you don't have the ball and you can't roll out and in, is you can come up to your bridge and reach your leg out and bring it in, and then reach the other leg out and bring it in. You can do the same thing on your chair. One leg reaches and then the other. I love choices and options, something for everyone to work on. Stay with me just a few more. So if you're using that alternating leg extending out, let's do 1 more on each side. Make yourself feel balanced. And then lower the hips back down. Relax your feet on top of the ball or chair, or you can bring your knees to tabletop. So tabletop is nice because you're using your abs to keep the legs up. If you're using your ball or your chair, try not to completely relax your legs. Still keep some lift up. And then we'll inhale to prepare. Fingertips are behind the back of the head. Exhale and we'll curl up, looking towards the knees. Inhale back down. Now whenever we're doing these abdominal curls, make sure you're not pulling on your neck or head. We have the elbows open. The fingertips are lightly supporting the back of the head. And there's space between your chin and your sternum. So we're not really driving our chin all the way down, shortening the neck. 1 more time here. And then relax, give your neck a break. So the right leg picks up off the ball, extends upwards or comes off the chair, or is just lifted and your left foot can be down on the ground. Right arm out. We're going to bring the elbow across to the knee, and then as you lay back, extend the leg out and across and out. So I like this one for people who have low back issues because you can very easily keep your low back pressed into the floor here. Oblique muscles. Exhale across. 4 more repetitions. And I'm leading with my shoulder rather than my elbow, so that will keep me from cranking on my neck. 3 more. And 2. Last repetition. And relax your leg to the ball, to the chair, or to the floor. Left leg comes up in a nice toe point. Left arm to the side. Right hand out. Bring the elbow towards the knee or the shoulder towards the knee. And then extend the leg. With your breath, exhale on that contraction. Inhale as you lengthen. Looking for about 10 repetitions or so, or whatever feels great for your body today. 5 more this side. Now if your neck really gets tired, just bring that knee in and don't lift the head up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set that foot back down, either to the floor, to the ball, or to your chair. We've got figure 4 stretch coming up. So if you're using the ball, you can simply lift the right leg up, cross the ankle over, and you can hold this stretch here, or you can bring your foot more to the top of the ball, which pushes your knees toward you. You can make this a little bit more restorative, so I'm not using my arms to grip if I'm doing the pose like this. You can do the same thing with your chair, or if it feels better for you to go ahead and reach your legs and pull them up towards you, you can do that as well. So we're opening up this right glute. And if you're not using your arms, bring them to goal post, taking the arms up, 90-degree bend, opening up the chest muscles. And begin to slow down the breath. I like this stretch also with my foot against the wall, so it's a really nice one. If the wall is next to my feet, I can put that foot right there, so I have some bracing. I don't have to use my arms, and all of this is nicely relaxed. Let's take one more breath on this side. And then if you're using your ball, you can set your foot back on top, both legs relaxed. Relaxing your arm by your side. And then bend your left knee, flex the ankle, bring it across. If you have a good stretch, you can stay right here. You can bring your heel more on top of the ball, which is bringing your knees towards you, or the chair, or the wall. And then either goalpost arms again, or make a halo. So you're going to draw a circle with your arms and bring them clear up so my fingertips are touching, or you can even interlace your hands together. And try to relax your arms above your head. Now if they're not touching the floor, if you don't have that flexibility, you can put your yoga block behind your hands here, so you have something to rest your arms on, so they feel supported. Now just relax everything and breathe. Feel those nice gentle stretches in your body. Two more breaths. And then we'll spend just a couple of minutes in meditation today, so you can use your ball and do legs on the ball. You can use your chair to set your feet up. You can use your wall and go legs up the wall, or just lengthen your legs out into a traditional Shavasana or comfortable position. Arms can be by your side, or you can place a hand on your heart and one on your belly. And begin to connect with your breathing. And we are at a crossroads here in Minneapolis. Feels like we're teetering on a precipice of change. So as you spend some time in relaxation and meditation, just focus on a way that you can be part of the change. We have no control over what's happening at the courthouse, the decisions that are being made. We have no control over the potential repercussions of those decisions in our city. And this makes us feel alone, makes us feel out of control, anxious, afraid. So it's helpful if we can find some small way in which we can be part of the change in our own life. To feel like we're stepping forward in a positive way. If only it's just with our family or our friends, our neighbors, our community. We are the change. We are the growth. We are the voice. Now, there's no rush to arise from your meditation. If you'd like to remain there longer, feel free as we end our meeting, our class, our practice. If you're following the sound of my voice and you'd like to move up, just take your time. If your knees are resting on the ball, you can roll it away, take your feet off the chair, and just roll over to your side for a moment. When you feel ready, use the strength of your arms, press yourself up. And come to an easy cross-leg pose. Just check in, see how your body's feeling after our work today. Maybe take a moment or two just to roll and stretch your neck, or roll your shoulders back a couple of times. And then we'll take a breath together to close our class. Inhale to sweep the arms out and up, gathering in peace and joy. Press the palms at your heart center in gratitude and honor. And the light that resides within me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you need to rush, I'll see you next time. Otherwise, I have a minute or two to chat and see how everybody's feeling today after our workout. We'll get our recording off.
Recording has stopped.